Okay, thanks for being here this afternoon and helping out. We're going to have a little teaching strategies over engaging all learners. We're going to talk with you about some strategies that you already know, and then share with you some resources that have been shared with me that you can use in your classroom. And I'm also going to share with you some stuff that I've done in my classroom over the last couple of years. The biggest thing that we need to think about is our classes are 90 minutes long. And that's a long time for a student just to sit there. So we want to be able to find activities that can engage our students and get them up and moving around. And that's what I'm going to try sharing with you today is some of those teaching strategies that will get them up and moving around during this time. Okay? All right, so right off the bat, what I need you to do, I know there's only 4 of us in here. What I need you to do is I need you to think of a number between 1 and 5. All right? And then I need you to, without speaking, I need you to get up and find someone with a different number than you have. All right? And that is going to be what we call your power partner for today's activities. All right? I'll give you 2 minutes. Go. All right, there we go. Okay, so again, this is just a really quick thing to get students to start, incorporating, or not incorporating, but find ways to get to know each other. Okay, what are other ways that we can use this for in our classroom?
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Partner.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, they keep using the same person to work with every time. You can do this to find people to work with.
Yeah, because what's the first thing to do when they come into the classroom at the beginning of the school year?
Find your friends.
Yeah, find a friend, sit down with a friend. When you've got kids sitting at the desk by themselves, and especially if it's a new kid, doesn't know anybody, it's a good way for them to introduce themselves to other kids and activities. Okay?
Good for pair share too, like you're gonna do it multiple times in the classroom, you do it once and then have them do it again, take a different number, now you gotta go find somebody else, and that way they're changing it up multiple times in the classroom.
Yep, doing it multiple times, I like that one too. Okay, so here's another one. Here's another little activity that you can share with them, right? With your partner, I want you to real quickly discuss which one of these 4 that you might be feeling right now.
Let's see. Oh, that's it.
No, it's your partner. Your partner.
Okay. I'm a solid 8. 8.
Why?
Oh, that's my personality.
Oh, man.
Kids and I'm always 8 in the morning, so.
I'm struggling between B and C, obviously taking on a new job, I've got a whole bunch of new little kids that are coming in, always wanting, let's be honest, a little needy, little constant, whatever, and then, because they're so needy, I'm tired. Just yawning.
Oh, okay.
You're going, I'm so tired. So yeah, I'm feeling like the mama bear of a whole bunch of new kids, and then I'm exhausted couldn't see, so.
What about over here? What about you 2?
I feel the same. I'm all riled up, gotta go do this other thing and that, so. We'll drive my Zamboni around. I'm going crazy. I chose D.
Bittersweet.
I'm just here.
Cheers.
Sweet guy. That cat has hair.
All right, so with that, think about our students. All of our students come from different backgrounds, different living situations, and when we get them in each day, we're not sure which kid we're going to get that day. You know, we may get the kid that's wiry and energetic, and then the very next day they may be, the kid that's tired because they may have a job or something else going on in their life that we don't really understand and know about. Obviously, the school year goes along, we get to know them, we find those things out early on. Those are things that we struggle with. What are some other things that we would need to know that would help us out with our students and their situations?
I think knowing their extracurriculars, what all they're involved in the school is always a good thing to know, just because it helps you to know kind of buttons to push, motivational pieces to help you. I think those are key.
The best way to learn, I think, is the way. I think that's the way you learn about your kids. It's like some people are kinesthetic learners, people are visual learners, auditory learners. So just kind of the best to learn their learning style.
Yeah, and then we can incorporate those into different strategies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So So this next video, some of you have already seen it, some of you it's gonna be kind of new. It kind of puts everything together. You're gonna see in the video, we'll show it and then I'll talk about it and what it, an example. Yeah, so going into that, how does that, I mean, it kind of puts everything together, right? He understands the part that there's not very much money there, that the guy's broke. And that's the first thing that he says right off the bat. So here's where we kind of got to put everything together, correlate everything together between the math part of it and then the common sense part of it of, hey, he doesn't have any money. That's the first thing he thought of. So again, just a funny little video to kind of take us into what we're going to talk about with these strategies.
I think it's huge because it's like, for me, I relate to it because I'm a math teacher, so those pop in with me, and some of these kids are going to show up in a different place. Like, he might not have even known how much money it was, he just knew $1 something, whatever it was, it's not going to be a lot. Sometimes you just have to meet them where they come in. His base knowledge might not be there, and I'm going to have to find a way to. Huh? Yeah. His life experience is told about a lot of money, but it didn't mean that he, whatever.
Okay, so this activity that we're going to do here, this is actually can be embedded into PowerPoints, and you can, now we have a problem with it here in the school, we have to have administrators download it onto our laptops or whatever. But this is called Poll Everywhere. And it's got different activities built into it, and it's embedded in PowerPoint. So then you can go into a PowerPoint lesson, and you can add these slides into it and create questions and stuff. So you can use it for multiple things. You can use it for a review. You can use it for a game that we're about to do here. Just kind of test and see what the kids are. So you can use it as a pre-assessment and then use it as a review post-assessment before you actually give a test. Okay? All right, everybody scanned in, ready to roll? All right.
I doubt it.
Give you a heads up. All the questions are the same. Okay? All the questions are the same. Just different answers. Okay, on each one. I haven't done anything yet. All right, here we go.
I'm sorry.
You went too far.
No.
I know this one.
Me too. Oh, they're on our phones, we can see it.
It's all, those
Yeah,
are,
we saw it.
excellent. For some reason it's bigger on here than it is. All right, so which of these is a student engagement activity?
It is.
Who? Who?
After the course.
All right, very good.
100%.
Okay, 100%, 4-4.
No, we don't got. You got faster, because you answered faster.
Oh, one point to the speed.
You were right, you might win. Did you mean?
Huh? You're not
It's a
gonna-
TV show.
You're not gonna know them all.
All right, correct answer on this one is Quizlet.
Well, move it up.
You made it me. I made it him.
Y'all overload?
No, you put me. Hey, this is something I don't know.
That's a hard one.
From a math.
Student engagement activity. That's a hard one.
This one's a hard one.
Who's the boxer?
I know what's in it.
It's okay, you're still winning. got that other answer, and had that other answer for
I
you.
know it did.
Man, you go out, man.
Go ahead, dude.
She already knows the answer to that.
Yeah, I'll leave it for you.
She said that. She's gonna have that for one dog.
What's happening?
Here again.
Oh, they already answered
Yeah.
though.
There we go. Alright, next.
That's a tricky one, yeah, this is a tricky one.
Oh, not that, is this?
It's not
We
sure.
never heard of that. I'm sure the one that sounded educational.
There's a bunch of kids on there.
Never heard of that.
There's a bunch of kids.
Yeah, that one was Dragon Box.
Oh,
let's go. I'm gonna copy you now. We got a lot of lunch in. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna start getting it wrong now. Good luck in class.
I don't know why they're on the screen. Okay,
The activity is now locked.
yep, I'm not.
That one didn't work.
Nope. Oh,
Okay,
there
There
it
it
is.
is.
Oh, I've heard of this thing. I didn't know those two words.
Huh?
I didn't know those two words.
Deadpool.
Fish whale. Honest. All going down. You're on purpose, honey, that's it.
I picture before you said it was.
Oh, look, there it is.
Come on,
Click
look.
it.
Oh, wait, look.
It's not,
Mine's on the point screen.
okay, you might have to do it again.
Go back.
Again?
Yep.
On the
It's
right.
not, it's not, you have the screen? Oh, there we go.
What's that? I don't know. Is that actually it or no?
No, it's no.
I say, I know we have it for
They don't
math.
know.
Yeah, we have some math.
Boomerang? Yeah, I'm going down the bottom. No way.
You put boomerang?
Wait, no.
Victory!
Hey, you didn't see?
Okay, so now.
Look, got second and third.
I got third.
So some of those never even heard of. I mean, even myself, like Dragon Box.
Yeah.
What's it say?
Yeah,
They
right
give them
there.
their ranking of.
This guy's Coach Love last. Say it right.
And the second
Blue
one.
State.
Yeah, I got
First
it.
place, oh, I should screenshot it.
I got it, don't worry. I got it.
Screenshot it right there.
There
That
we go.
one's
I got
different.
it.
That one's
Okay,
wrong.
mine says first.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm number one for blue, so.
You got it last.
That's all that matters.
It's all right.
All of the first one.
Your mom said you're number one, my mom said.
So what are some other ways that we can use activities like this in our classroom?
In the middle of class when they're all tired and falling asleep, or beginning.
Review for test.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And like I said, the thing I like about it most is you can embed it into your class notes. And in the middle of your notes, you can review something that you just went over. So again, it's got multiple things on there. It's got multiple choice questions. It's got charts. It also has discussions. You can add a discussion in there, and then
And one we could throw a word up or something?
yep, like almost like a
Yeah.
word wall, where you can put a statement up there and tell them first thing that comes to mind, and they type in a word, and it pops up there, makes like a collage of words and so forth. So again, very useful and that you for something that you can embed into your lessons, and that's one way of keeping them active and alert during your lesson.
Let's be honest, they all love being on their phone anyway, and you just gave them a reason to use it, they already want to do it.
Okay, so engaging all learners. So the first three things here are, there's links attached to these. I'm going to open each one and we'll kind of review some of the things on there. And as we go through it, you'll see some of the stuff in there that you've already used. When I was glancing at it, it's got pamphlets. You can make a pamphlet, a timeline. So for me, when I teach history and so forth, there's a lot of useful things in there that I've used in the past for this. Okay, and the big base behind it is again, is having, the students project-based learning. So giving them projects to do in class where we're not always like this up here teaching to the class. It's actually giving them something to do. So this is a very useful website, that has over 100, different ideas. The article information in it is pretty useful as well. So again, poster board alternatives, for example, create a magazine, Kahoot, which we already kind of talked about, we'll talk about again here in a second, photo journal, scrapbook, a mural, so for, not even for just art classes, but, I know in history, I used it to had students create a propaganda, poster, during World War I and World War II. What are the subjects that we teach in here?
I do sciences and math.
Sciences and math?
I did science class.
Science and math. PE. Okay, so that's a challenge one, right? Which there's going to be a link here for yours here in a second, that we can also incorporate this in these other classes, and you teach math as well. So what are some ways, so we've got a couple of math and science, so what are some ways that we can use some of these ideas in a math and science classroom?
I like to write a song, right? Because kids always listen to music anyway. So they create their whole song about the body system. So
That's a really good idea, yeah.
I like the photo journal, like this, if you think about the photo steps of a problem, like they can create images, especially in geometry or other shapes where they can create that photo journal that explains kind of all the parts. But I also like the video tutorial. We did that at the end of the year where they had to reteach a lesson to us through a video, like we gave them a topic and they have to teach it. I think that would be good for PE. Like give them a skill, teach them a skill, and then force them to reteach you the skill through a video tutorial. That would be a lot of fun. I think
Yeah,
videos would be the
We did one of those, we had them create their own, come up with their own game, then create a new sport game of some sort, have some rules with it, we've done that before, that was kind of cool to see what they came up with, some of them were very interesting.
And then turn around and teach it to the class. That's pretty cool. That's a good one. Physical, digital math. Again, we look at some of these and they're not very detailed. I mean, it's really something really simple. But again, the whole idea behind it is giving them the tools to do something on their own and come up with their own lesson of the way that they are going to remember the material that we're presenting to them.
Well, I've got to participate in the escape room one for a classroom, but I've never done it, because it's like lengthy to make, so you had to like solve a problem in order to find the answer, to get to the key, to get to the next one, it was all math problems to get you each of the keys to the next thing, which is pretty cool. Like the answer was a code to a key or whatever, and then, I don't know, anyways, it was pretty cool, but.
Been in one. Said I've been in one.
You've been one. I mean, it was awesome. I got to do it at a training, but I've never done it in my room because it's like, for being honest, it's lengthy to create yourself. They had them out there, so they would sell them in position, so. Awesome.
So, Coach Ray used an example of them teaching a lesson. How else have y'all used ideas like this in your classroom?
Well, I saw it on your thing, but I do like the Jeopardy games as a review, like there are templates out there, I think I saw it on one of your previous slides, like different stuff like that, which is fun, which is more hands-on for the kids, which is less me teaching for them. Or the stations hands-on where they're going around, like this year we did surface area and volume, and they had to I gave them like a Rubik's Cube, or like the birthday hat code that you had to stick on your head, and that made them measure it and do all the calculations themselves. So that was a little more hands-on involved and less me just saying what they're teaching.
the freshman geography, they had to create their own brochures for like the country they selected, so they did that quite often.
Same thing, science. They had to make all the different, cardiovascular and all that systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, draw them all.
Draw them just like on.
Draw them and then, have 4 facts about it or something like that.
Okay, yeah. Those are really good ones, because then, like a pamphlet or brochure, and they can flip it and use it as a study guide. Yep. So another one that, I talked with a assistant principal about is, structured lessons and competitive games. So obviously we just did one, and there's many more, out there. And again, another resource here that provides, some other examples. And as other principal and I we were talking about how as coaches, you know, we're competitive in nature and so forth. How can we take our competitiveness that we have as coaches and incorporate that into the classroom? Because she was talking about failure rates, and we had a lot of boys, not necessarily athletic boys, but just in general, a lot of boys in the school were failing. And so she was trying to think of ways that we could get or relate to them to get them to maybe understand stuff a little bit more. She was saying how in the coaches' classrooms we can take our competitive nature and come up with competitive type games in our classroom that might motivate our kids potentially, you know, learn a little bit more and be more engaged that way. So that was an idea that she shared. The speech ball one right here, I really like this one. You write stuff on questions on the beach ball, and all you do in the classroom is you kind of toss it around, and then whatever color you catch it you're looking at, you pick a question that may be on there. Now again, it's not a lot, but they are getting some competitiveness out of it because they're hitting it, trying to, you know, hit it over to somebody and not. You make rules as well. You know, hey, don't let the ball hit the ground. And again, maybe depending on the class that you're teaching, you can come up with maybe, hey, if the ball hits the ground, you know, there's a consequence. You know, if the ball hits the ground or something like that. Have you used anything in this nature like this in any of your classrooms? I know PE is a little different. PE, you can definitely do that in dang near everything. But think about in a general classroom. You know,
Icebergers at the beginning.
Did what?
Icebergers at the beginning of the year, we've done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that in class?
So yeah, it's like the first week, so they had generic questions like kind of right on there, and just kind of get to know you. So pass it around, catch it where the phone landed on is when they had to answer.
Kids were pretty good. They interacted pretty well.
For the most part, you know, you got a couple that try to stay with me.
Yeah. Avoid it.
When I taught sixth grade history, we used to always do Jeopardy. And I made it once just so the kids like it. And they asked for every test review, let's make Jeopardy again.
Yeah.
So I had to go through and make the questions for every single unit. It was time consuming, but they really got into it.
And that's the thing that I like about it. The kids will let you know if they like something because they're going to ask for it. If they really like it, especially if they help them out, they're going to ask you to do that all the time. You know, anybody have any others?
I used to use the Jeopardy, and I saw the Hollywood Squares. I might be the only one. Well, might be the only other old enough person in here to even know what Hollywood Squares is. Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Okay, good. It was like an old. You're too young, right, Treehawk? You have no idea. Grady, no? Oh my God! So it was a game. It was a game show back in the day. Yeah, we're way older than us. It was a game show back in the day, and it was like they put like famous people inside of this box, and they're sitting in a thing, and they asked you a question. If you picked them, they asked you a question, and if you got the question right, you got to put your X or your O on it. And it was like a person-sized tic-tac-toe, but you had to correctly answer their question in order to like fill the tic-tac-toe box. So it became a race, like your team had to get the first. So, anyways, I used to use it all the time in my math classroom. Hush, I'm just as old, so I'm just as old. I'd forgotten about it. I haven't probably used Hollywood Squares since probably the first 5 years I was teaching. It was a big one that was out there. I used Jeopardy a couple times, and to be honest, like you, I probably still have them somewhere. Heck if I know, because the kids freaking loved them. They were really good competitive games, and you divided them into teams, and they would get real mad to start.
Freshmen still talk about that, like it's one of the Jeopardy.
Jeopardy?
Yeah.
See, I think Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is another good one, you know, because you can give kids a sheet of paper and then have one person being a contestant and they can kind of pick the kids in the classroom because it gets them holding the question and you can even have them read the question and then have them answer it and so forth. So having reality TV shows that we see are one way of incorporating things into the classroom as well. Go back to this last one real quick. Before we move on, the required motor activity. So there's been some universities that have done some research and about getting, again, kids up and moving and incorporating ways of incorporating our lessons into children moving around in the classroom while we teach. Again, some examples down here at the bottom. Integrating movement. Again, very easy for PE, obviously, but doing it in a general ed, in science, okay, becoming a liquid here as an example. Social distancing requirements and your opportunity for students to use their own bodies as model movements, and so forth, okay? So again, this one might be a little bit more challenging, in our classrooms, especially with high school kids. One thing that, a fellow teacher this year, we did, for our World War I trench warfare unit, to kind of incorporate that. You know, I've used VR before in a classroom, to kind of show them what it looked down like in a trench. But what Coach Catters did this past year is he got a bunch of Nerf balls of different colors. And, blue, orange, yellow, green, and red. And we incorporated them based off of the gases that were introduced during World War I and during the time frame. And what we had the kids do is we had them, we broke them up into teams in our class and separated them. And we told them, hey, fix the desk as if it was trench, and they stacked the desk and put them up and everything, and kind of designed the classroom as a trench, and then they hid behind them. And then we introduced the gases based off the year. So we started in 1914 and turned it into dodgeball, you know. So I mean, it's a competitive thing, but it's also a motor movement, you know, where they're having to jump and throw, they're crawling around in the classroom. I was a little hesitant of it because same thing, you got the kids that, you know, kind of shy away from everything, but everybody, I was amazed, everybody participated, even the quiet kids, whatever, that hardly participate in other activities and so forth. They got involved and were throwing the little Nerf balls at everybody and so forth, so that was one way. Is there any other way that you can think of to incorporate something, a motor movement in your class?
I mean, I've seen people play, trash can basketball, where it's like you have like 3 or 4 teams and answer the question, but you have to like make something into the trash can first, and then if your answer's not right, you have to start throwing another one. Like you can have multiple chances, but you have to actively make the basket and answer the question, so it's kind of that motor movement with the actual educational piece where, and then they rotate somebody into the hot seat every time, so everybody.
And I think that's something that can be added to almost any class.
And he gave him, like, him and Todd gave him, chances at 1 point, 2 points, or 5 points, depending how far they
How
were
far
shooting.
away, yeah.
Because he got 2 separate sides, and then in the middle was just a trash can in the head, and however far they wanted to go back, that's how many points they got.
And it's also an activity where you can have multiple going at one time. You know, you can have 2 or 3 in a group and spread them all out in the classroom and get more involved that way. And again, you don't need much. You know, a little ball and a little trash can. I'm assuming is what they use, maybe. You know, whatever is obviously available. Yeah, right. Go to the bathroom, take a bathroom and so forth.
Camera speed.
Yeah. Skip a class. Okay, so some other things, we already talked about the combined teamwork and competition. You know, these 2 activities that we just talked about, the trash can basketball, that's something that can be incorporated. Obviously the dodgeball is a little different, you can't necessarily do that and everything, but it is really good for a history segment. Another part, focusing on independent discovery and self-direction. Research projects, that kind of correlates back to the design lessons, where you're getting them to do the majority of the work and so forth. Okay, and then discovering math steps themselves, so having them, and you're going to use the same thing with science, chemistry, with chemical equations and so forth, having them come up with the steps on their own is another way to have them independent learning. Okay, y'all have any other things that you've used in the past that may be independent discovery and self-direction?
Yeah, in history, they kind of just, if they finish early, we'll find a new country and they'll discover everything about that new country when they're in class too.
Okay, yeah. Which that's good for what world geography, and world history. But yeah, I've seen that one incorporated, that's a good one. I know in the junior highs and lower levels, when they're doing, United States history, or even U.S. history to juniors, you know, they assign them a state, and they gotta research everything about that state and so forth. Okay, gonna get you up and moving and a little involved here. Okay, give a clue game. Again, this is one that has been used for history. being a former, history teacher. But you can incorporate this in almost anything, and I'm gonna let you, do that here in just a second. But first, we're gonna play the game, all right? You and your, power partner, all right? Okay. So we're only gonna do one of them, and it's the first one. It's gonna be a history one, so hopefully you know a little bit about history. If you're Coach Knight, whoever your partner is, you're in trouble.
I hate history, it's
All right.
one of the subjects ever.
So, what you and your partner are gonna do.
Why would anybody want to teach that?
Yeah. So your partner is gonna stand right here in front of the screen, and they're not gonna see the words behind them. And what you're going to do, standing in front of them, looking at the screen, is you're gonna try to get them to tell you what these 6 words are without saying the 6 words. Okay? So for example, the first one, Taylor Swift. You've got to come up with words other than Taylor Swift that is gonna get your teammate to guess Taylor Swift. Okay? Yeah. If she even knows who that is.
Kelsey's guy, yeah.
Famous dating football player.
I'm gonna sit. Can we sit in there?
Alright, so one of you, whoever's gonna be the
I'm
guesser.
not gonna be able to explain these to you. I'll try. I might just throw it other ways.
Let's do it. Let's go.
We're gonna fail every
Turn into a sitting game now.
We're gonna fail either way.
I gotta help you. I mean,
The winner gets
I don't know.
We'll get that cookie anyway.
It's amazing
the winner gets a cookie, no matter what.
Oh, God, Mark.
Unless all the kids say, oh, wish we could see
Hey, get your camera on and
Camera's already on.
show it to me.
that's not how that works, sir.
Alright, you ready?
I'm gonna look at
Alright, here we go.
Fourth of July.
Huh?
4th of July.
Oh my
That's
God.
all right.
We can sign your name. You got this guy. You sign your name to this guy.
Awesome.
Right
John
now.
Hancock.
There you go. The 4th of July.
I signed something.
Yes, well, then that's the blank, of independence.
I did, John.
Whenever of independence,
The,
Bottom left.
day of independence, no.
it's the same letter.
Date,
No.
Declaration of
There you go,
Independence.
you got 2. Okay.
Good.
I have the, freedom to speak.
Is this in the same
I have
thing still,
freedom to
or-
order if I want.
Okay.
These are my blank.
Constitutional rights.
No.
I have
What other type of,
oh my God, what are they? Hold on.
the working
Bill of Rights.
The
No.
space to, space.
Haley does it.
They come and probe me.
Alien rights, alien rights.
No, it's the what?
Good brother, same thing.
It's short for United Nations.
You win. I ain't ready to race. Everybody else, we got 2 more, don't we?
Oh, those 2 are hard.
This one's hard.
Oh my God. I don't know who those guys are, Mr.
You signed your.
When did that
Right,
know?
yeah.
Alright, this guy, so, put your key in a,
Doorknob, lock. Okay,
so
lock.
instead of turning not getting
Oh, I thought it-
blank.
John
I don't know
Lock.
who's all on there.
Okay,
And the
yeah,
last
that's
one.
what that is. Okay, see how we remember.
Is somebody that's on
The
there?
last one is,
The founding fathers, what you trying to say?
No.
what is that?
Are you thinking somebody on the founding fathers?
Okay, it's 2 words. Right?
Benjamin Button.
Let's go to the last name.
So keep the first one.
Benjamin Franklin.
You blank the quarterback.
Sack,
What's the
But before you sack him, you have to.
Rushmore.
Good.
tackle,
No more.
hit,
You ready?
No more.
I'm running towards the quarterback,
Take more
so.
out.
sprint, run,
Good.
Drive,
Rush?
rush. Boom! I can think of, I was so good.
That is hard. Hey, that was hard. Those are hard. Those are really hard.
What you do for draw lot? I cheat and sign signer there.
Oh man.
So he said it, he was like, put your DNA and the same first name as the guy you signed.
The unalienable, right? That was hard.
So, other than being side by side and giving away clues and stuff like that, it can be very competitive and get your kids extremely involved.
Man.
And again, for history, this is for history,
Yeah.
a lot with history. You can do a lot with history in different, years, wars, obviously amendments, yeah. and go into a really good detail with a lot of this stuff. So again, science, how could you use this for science?
They can do when they do like the cells, like when you got mitochondria, you got the endoplasmic, all that stuff, about what they are.
Okay, how about math?
Definition, explain it.
How could you use it for math?
I mean, I think you could do it with, give them a shape, they have to give them like the properties of the shape, and then that way they have to figure out what the name is. You could not even put a word up there, you could just put a shape, and the kid, that way it questions both of them. This one has to, one, even be able to identify the shape before they can explain it to them, then they gotta explain the properties, and the other one has to know the
When
properties.
you do a volume, you can say whatever the actual equation is, the formula is.
Okay, so you don't-
Say it's triangle.
Makes me think, okay, both of y'all use great detail in both of those, so what are we forcing the students to do more of now?
Keep learning.
Now they're being forced to do that, we
Study.
study too, but they're,
For them to study.
but yeah, but y'all's two
Or it's
examples just turned in a lot of information that you're trying to get from them.
Or show them how much they don't know in preparation for the
Well,
test.
and it goes over and over, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when
Sure.
you find out they don't know, what they really don't know, but.
Okay, you and your partner now, I know you are different subjects and so forth, but I would like for you to create your own real quick over your subject. Just real quick. Make sure you put your title at the top,
That was a challenge.
and then your six clues to go with, or your 6 words to go with that topic at the top.
Well, I can't wait to
Bobby
see what
Googling.
grades are for PE.
Walk, sprint.
Dribble.
No, that's not one of them.
Spell it right, I'm dropping.
Get it wrong, spell, look it up.
Alright. I didn't mind.
Alright, Coach Love, while they're finishing up, have us share with us yours.
So I did mine for freshman world geography. So I picked 3 different countries. So Brazil, Canada, and Europe. That way I have to explain something about that country that they're part of, I guess. Such as like Canada, they say, what's the wealth of America? Or you name it a dollar or some type of geographical feature. So I did that for Brazil, Europe, and Canada. For Canada, I did I did economy, political, and environment. So when they think about economy, they think like, oh, okay, hey, what's the money of that country? Something like that.
ESPN.
ESPN, you got it, look over, good job. So political, like, hey, what's it like, dictatorship or free government, something like that. So, and then for environment, like, rainy, sunny, like things like that.
Alright, Coach Dyke, what did you come up with?
I drew mine as all pictures, kind of like I said before, so I used both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, and then I did some more specific than others, like I drew an equilateral triangle, so they would even have to be able to identify in the picture that it is, that all 3 sides are equal, so they would have to identify in the picture that it's equilateral, and then be able to get that word out of the person, which will be even more of a challenge. And then I did, like I said, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional shapes, that way they have to be able to identify all the side, trapezoid, equilateral triangle, a kite, rectangular prism, cylinder, and a parallelogram. So that's it. And then package.
Awesome. Good for y'all.
I did an animal cell. I just named different cells inside of it, so like mitochondria, let's say, the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria, kind of same thing for all of them. So 6 different things that are in there, and since they have known for their test and what they do, it helps them remember what's all they've done there. So, animal cells.
Oh, okay. So definitions are another good way to use this.
I
picture of the different sports, so the kids would have to know what sport they were playing. And I almost failed art when I was growing up, so my drawings aren't really good.
What is that? Oh, that's baseball. I thought that was a piece of pizza.
Hey, food competitions are a real thing.
But I had to make sure they did the ball was yellow, so that it was softball,
Softball
not
versus
baseball.
baseball.
That was my softball, I'm not sure if that's good or not.
That's perfect.
Hockey.
So again, I mean, PE is that one subject that everybody talks about that is a little more challenging to do some classroom stuff, but definition wise on certain things, I know I got criticized when I was first starting out. I did elementary PE for a year and I gave the kids a test over major muscles. And I got heck for it from, the teachers, like, why are you making this PE, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what, I can't, help little kids learn what major muscles are, because they're gonna use them later in life and stuff like that, So there are ways you can try to find incorporating these strategies into PE as well. Obviously, it's a little easier with some of our other our core subjects and so forth, but there are ways to do it in PE as well. All right, last one here. This is one that I learned from an assistant principal, and I'm just going to give you one to start out with. Okay, so reviewing your partner. So what this is, I use this for as a test review, and I had groups of 8 in my classroom. So 4 students sitting at a table and so forth. So I would make 8 packets, and I use this as a test review. And what I would do is I would cut out questions, multiple choice, it has their answers on there and everything, and they decide, or they work with their group, and they answer the packet of questions. And I give them around 5 to 6 minutes to answer the questions, and then when the timer's done, I rotate the packets. I usually make the students sit up and rotate that way again. They're up and moving around in the classroom. It doesn't seem like anything big and major having them stand up, move to another group of tables, and then sit back down. But it is, like we talked about in a 90-minute classroom, it's a way of getting them up and moving and not just sitting there the whole time and reaching over and say, hey, here you go, here's this bag, now you get me a bag, getting them up and moving around in the classroom. So real quick, I'm just going to do it one time. Just look through those questions real quick, you and your partner. And again, it's a group assignment. I want them to work with each other on the questions and so forth to answer them, because again, it is a test review. And again, Coach Knight, sorry, it's history. I never struggled with it.
What were the reasons that Christianity spread out from them?
It produced the book of
Brother
Romans.
Franklin encouraged Christianity.
Okay, I'm glad you
Praise
guys
all
are
men.
ready.
New Resolution first, it's,
Yeah.
That's all it is?
humans.
Yeah, they love it. Oh, that's the answer.
Oh, they love it.
That's on most times.
Yeah.
Oh, history learner.
Yeah, it's the story.
In less than
I
5
don't know
minutes.
anything on this card says.
I'm pretty sure.
If I had to take history all over again, I would fail.
Yeah, this was on
First and only C I've ever made in my entire life, 3rd grade history. Straight A's in every level, that's straight history, I see no point.
So the way that I use this,
Back in the day, we actually.
I don't even want to talk to people.
even though it's a review, I also give them a grade for it. So it's more of a participation grade, but again, something that can be incorporated in every classroom, even PE, because PE, just like Coach Grady mentioned with basketball and other sports, he can put that in there and have them, demonstrate the sport or give a example of it.
We do that in campus, so they get, each unit has like an introduction to the sport, that and pickleball that we're playing for that unit, and they'll learn the rules of it, and then they actually have to take a quiz that we don't grade out the quiz, but we give a quiz to see what they retain, from the rules, that information, not with what we do, each ones were all out, going crazy when there's 65 kids running around.
And how does that help you as a teacher?
Just make sure that I know that they've got at least the basics of what I want to maybe know about the rules or things.
So again, it's a tool for us to go back and say, hey, maybe I didn't teach that part well enough. I need to go back and get that, because if I use it as a review, and again, the right answers down as we're going around, and I see that, hey, every one of them missed, the category performed, then, hey, I need to know that I gotta go back and talk about that because the majority of the class missed it. You know, so it's a two-way thing. It's something helping them out, but it's also a way of helping me out before I actually get the test. Okay?
When I see you see the seventh grade, yeah. All of a sudden, every person will miss a bunch of questions on the homework. You know, it's something wrong.
Yeah, I go back.
Yep.
All right, last one, and y'all, and we talked about it, at the very beginning, with our little activity that we did, with technology strategies. There's newer ones coming out every year. Some of us in here didn't even know about some of these. Dragon Box, I don't know what Dragon Box is. What is Dragon Box?
It's a little kid one that does like, takes it and puts it into like a video game and you have to answer a question in order to advance to the next level. Anyways, just.
And the Ed Puzzle thing here, every level uses Ed Puzzle. I know my girls use it in elementary and junior high and so forth, so that's used all the way at the top. But technology strategies, especially things that they want us to use nowadays that everybody has their own device or we're providing iPads and so forth, they want us to use those technologies in the classroom. My favorite is just because I'm the most comfortable with it, is Kahoot. So I use Kahoot almost all the time for test reviews. And the kids get into it because, again, like the one we did in the beginning, it's a poll, it's a competition, and they see who scores the most points, and then I always say at the end, it puts them up on a pedestal, we go first, second, and third. All right. I appreciate y'all's help today and your input and your participation. Before you leave, if you could please fill out this evaluation for me. This is one, again, lets me know what I need to work on and correct and fix and so forth. And
There's another one, Mason plays Prodigy.
Prodigy?
It's,
I heard
it's
that.
like on level, it basically, it's kind of like Pokemon, but you're battle, but then to answer, you have to answer a question to get to do the next part of the battle.
Okay.
And if you get so many right in that on level area, the next time it'll bump you to harder questions to try and advance your skill set. And then if you get so many wrong at the next level, they'll bump you back down just to make sure that you know you're really grasping what you want to grasp.
Yeah.
And it's been really awesome. He's been up almost in the 99th percentile, almost everything for his age level.
And that's excellent.
And it's awesome if he can do it on a computer or on his little tablet. It's not
Let's go.
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like our kids did one of those when we were at White House, whenever we went on COVID, they gave them a ton of them through the, they gave them a ton of them through the
Keep going.
Yep.
creative ones.
Creative tools, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely want Grady's over there.
Keep drawing like a bad man over there.
It's not gonna finish.
Yeah, apparently got 15 minutes.
It's not gonna finish.